For years, I believed so many myths surrounding decluttering. This ended up stalling my progress for so long, combined with other things, of course, like overwhelm, lack of motivation, lack of time, which I love to address here on my channel as well. Today though, let's talk about some of these myths and the actual truth so that you can start making progress. One huge misconception is that you shouldn't get rid of anything that you might be able to use one day. I want you to imagine the worst case scenario. Let's say you do get rid of the extra pair of salad tongs and yours ends up breaking. Worst case scenario, you use 2 forks. It's really not that bad. Do you have another plan that could work? Here's another thought. In this particular myth, the word might is a huge, it's the anchor of the whole question. Could I maybe use this one day? Might I be able to use this one day? But here's the thing. It is very likely, almost 100% positive, that your clutter is weighing you down today. So I don't love the idea of making a decision based on a future maybe instead of what you know is happening right now. Here's a little test that you can do to know if your stuff is weighing you down. I want you to do a quick 21 item toss. This is when you grab a garbage bag and you just go around your house, filling it with things that are really obvious that you can get rid of. You're gonna put this bag in your trunk of the car. Do you feel lighter at all? Do you feel a weight lifted? If the answer is yes, your stuff is weighing you down. That's the crazy thing about clutter, is often it's weighing us down and we don't realize the mental or physical toll that it's taking on us until we actually start getting rid of stuff. Oh, this next one. Just getting organized is a complete solution to a clutter problem. Honestly, this is just repackaging your clutter. It is absolutely not a solution, and I will tell you, organization solutions are pricey. I don't have very many systems like this around my house because I've reduced the clutter first. So systems like this are 100% worth the money, but you can save on excess spending if you declutter first and then buy the systems that work. Here is another myth. Well, I'm just a messy person. This is just who I am. I've always been this way. I've always had trouble keeping my house clean. This is actually a negative message that your stuff is sending to you. That's completely untrue. If you had walked into my home 4 years ago, you would have looked around, you would have opened the pantry, you would have looked in a closet, checked out the playroom, and said, this woman, she is such a messy person. True fact, I'm actually not. Just because you don't like cleaning doesn't mean you're a messy person. I do not enjoy cleaning. I do enjoy a clean house, but none of this means that I am a messy person. These are the messages your excess is sending to you, telling you that you can't keep control of your stuff. This is completely untrue. So instead of saying to yourself, oh, I am such a messy person, here's what I want you to say instead. I am not a messy person, but my excess is causing a mess or creating a mess. Blame it on the stuff. Do not blame yourself. Blame it on the actual items. It's entirely their fault, I promise you. You might tell yourself that getting rid of perfectly good stuff is wasteful. I want you to flip this around and say donating responsibly is helpful. You are helping someone else by donating your perfectly good stuff. If you're not exactly sure what to do with your things, I know I've had this question so many times. I have an entire video dedicated to this that I will link in the cards and down below. Give your stuff to a nursing home. See if your church nursery could use it. Donate books to your school library. Just dropping things off at the Goodwill is incredibly helpful for someone else. If I keep it long enough, I'll use it. This is definitely one that has held me up in the decluttering process, man. But instead of saying this, what I found to be even more true is that if you keep it long enough, you will store it and forget about it. And I had an entire basement loaded with clutter to prove it. This was actually my basement after I had decluttered about 70%. Can you even imagine what my basement looked like before? These are all items that I thought if I keep it long enough, I will use it. It's actually been proven in different studies that the longer we hold on to items, the more likely we are to struggle parting with them, and the more value that we place on the item, not because it actually increases in value. Most everything decreases in value over time, and then we assign a higher price point to it just because we've owned this. Just because you've boxed it up does not mean that it goes away. It just means that either you, your future self, or someone else will have to deal with it. It can be really, really tempting to not want to start a decluttering project until you feel like you can complete it, start to finish. And I struggled with this. I really struggled with all of these at one point or another, especially in the beginning. I remember feeling like I am way too busy and overwhelmed and tired to go through the entire playroom. I can actually just shut the door and pretend it's not there. But that stuff will eventually eat away at you like it did to me, and you will have to face it at some point. And again, it's weighing you down without you even knowing it. So instead of saying, I do not have time to complete the entire pantry start to finish, there is no way I can go hit up the basement right now or the garage because I can't finish it, break your project into very, very small 10 to 15 minute chunks. I have one task to complete today in 10 minutes. Check, it is done. And I promise you 10 minutes can and does make a difference, especially if you keep it up. Another myth that could be holding you back is thinking, if I feel guilty letting it go, that's a sign that I should keep the item. It's absolutely not. It is so common to feel guilt for different reasons. Whether this was something that was gifted to you and that's why you feel guilty, it's something that you spent money on, it's something that you had the intention of using. This is not a sign that you should keep the item. But here's how you can kind of get around this guilt. I want you to imagine yourself at the end of your life. Are you gonna sit there and think, my gosh, I wish I had never decluttered that vase or gotten rid of that candle holder that my friend gave me 30 years ago? These are not in any way the kinds of things we'll be thinking or the kinds of regrets we'll be having. They will not have anything to do with our physical possessions, most likely. So don't worry, your guilt is not a sign. Use that guilt in a positive way to become a lesson for your future shopping habits. That goes right along with the next myth, which is getting rid of sentimental items is throwing away a memory. If this is something you're really worried about, take a picture. This can be such a cool and efficient way to store memories. Oh, I'm gonna cry telling you this next one. I had to do a factory reset on my phone and I lost over 1,000 photos and videos from the last year, and I had to cry about it. But as soon as I realized that those pictures were gone, I suddenly started remembering all of my favorite photos and my favorite memories from the past year, and they became more vivid in my mind. So what I need to do now is journal those memories. I can still keep them. I can keep them alive even though I don't have the physical representation. So just remember the actual physical thing. Now in my case, the photo was the lost sentimental item. Just because I lost it does not mean I have to give up the memory. The same thing goes with physical items. Either take a picture, journal about the memory, because that is what you're cherishing, not the actual item itself necessarily. This last one is so profound. I read this in a blog recently. Decluttering is not about stuff, it is about us. What? That is completely transformative to me. I think so often we think decluttering is about stuff. Of course it is, but that's not what the main point is. The main thing that we're trying to focus on is not just our stuff, it's the life we're trying to live, the freedom we're trying to feel, the time we're trying to get back, the frustration, the stress, the anxiety that we're trying to eliminate. The focus in the end is not the stuff at all. The stuff stuff didn't matter. It's us that matters. It's everything that we are trying to do and build in our life, and we're trying to eliminate the things that distract from it. Here is a playlist on the screen with more videos focusing on minimalism, simplified living, and a clutter-free home. I will see you over there.